Another CNN panel to look over today, this time discussing Trump's seizing of the Kennedy Center, another act that mirrors Hitler's throughout history, as it is a place of great importance to American art and culture. So let's look over the discussion and jump back in with the context we can. Hey you, yes, you, we now have a Substack website where you can help support the channel. For just $8 a month, you can get daily articles exposing the chaos in Trump's first 100 days, a weekly podcast, and other exclusive perks, all while helping the channel grow and defend democracy. This is something that's not just very important to me, but enables us to get our message out to the most amount of people while also being just a genuine passion that I would love to pursue. So for those who have been wondering how to support the channel, how to help us grow, you can sign up now at the first link in our description. Thank you, and let's get back to the video.
Culture is very important in America, and the Kennedy Center has been a very important place to celebrate American culture, and I think the right recognizes that that culture generally extols lefty values and are made of liberal people. And this is an attack on that and saying, like, we're going to put our own sort of cultural figures in place instead.
Well, the Kennedy Center did not welcome Donald. It was not a welcoming place for Donald Trump when he was president of the United States. And I think that they need to accept responsibility for that. But whether or not Donald Trump is president of the United States, probably being chair.
I think that that history between Trump and the Kennedy Center has a lot to do with some of the people that the Kennedy Center honors, artists, actors. Robert De Niro famously doesn't like Donald Trump, but he's also a very famous, celebrated actor. They can't control people's views, nor should they try to curry favor with the president just to make him happy.
Trump, again, doing actions that one-to-one line up with what Hitler did when he rose to power in Germany, just further solidifying us on the left as right again, where conservatives pretended we were being dramatic. And it has a lot to do with exactly kind of what the panel is saying here. When you look through America's history, it is a very liberal history. Like, not, I guess, in the essence of what we once represented, but in terms of what we became, and that we increasingly became more liberal throughout time as the liberal people, the liberal movements, won out and beat out the conservative ones who were on the wrong side of history pretty much all throughout history. I can't think of one movement or one success we've had in moving this country forward that was initiated by the conservatives. From slavery to women's rights to Jim Crow and racism. I mean, America has been plagued with bigotry and racism, and it's always the conservatives trying to hold on to the white pride, pushing this and trying to keep it around, while the more liberal movements come to overcome and move us past that. And life has greatly improved because of it. And Trump wants America to forget about all of this, so they're more willing to go back. And for the people who are fine with that, it calls into questions, what makes you feel patriotic and American? Like, what part of American values do you appreciate if it's not those ones? Because the other ones are some pretty suspect ones at best.
This Kennedy Center is named after a president who valued public service, intellectual collective curiosity, inviting artists in. What do artists do nationally and globally? They challenge those in power, even countries throughout the Middle East, conservative countries. They hold their poets sacred. They're the only ones who are allowed to challenge authority. This has nothing to do with board governance. This has nothing to do with a grudge. This is a protection of what is ultimately going to be, I fear, a propaganda machine for the right.
That's exactly what he wants to transform it to, a tool of right-wing propaganda, just like he's done with media, just like he's done with big tech, just like how he's trying to destroy the credibility of academia and professionals, so he could then have us listening to the conspiracy theorists and the alternative facts with like RFK, who are just tools of right-wing propaganda, because the facts are uncomfortable to conservative positions. This is why they had been losing on policy for decades, and they tried to shift it to culture stuff. They started to lose massively on culture stuff, so now they're attacking intellectualism, brainwashing those who aren't smart or smart enough or aware enough to understand that they're being played like pawns by the establishment. Art is one of the best ways to speak truth to power. It's in paintings and literature and music. People express feelings and truth in ways that resonates with mass groups of people that otherwise you might not be able to, which gives a voice to the people, right? It gives a voice to democracy, which inherently makes it an enemy of an authoritarian dictator like Donald Trump, who's trying to do fascism.
It's how abnormal this is, right? Ronald Reagan didn't do this. George Bush Sr. didn't do this. George W. Bush didn't do this. No one comes in and just fires the entire board. And, you know, I've gone actually from having anger at some of the things that Donald Trump does to just sadness. How we've fallen. I mean, John F. Kennedy inspired the world. Every person looked to America, including my parents who were going to immigrate, saying, wow, we want to go to America. They're leading civilization. They're leading the best of humanity. And now you have a president when there's a plane crash who can't even talk about the grief of families. How have we fallen to this point? Tony Kirshner once said, how can a country that produced Abraham Lincoln produce Donald Trump? And I think he asked the most profound question. But we're going to come back. This is just a terrible moment in our history.
We're used to having,
that's absurd.
We're used to having people who have amazing values like JFK, right?
Yes, it's unprecedented. We've literally never had a president come in and try to consolidate every portion of America underneath his power. Politics and government, communication and media, spending in the economy, art and culture. He even requested the NFL remove end racism from the end zone if he's going to visit the Super Bowl. At this point, I don't know if democracy will ever be repaired from the way he destroyed it, which another thing MAGA pretended like was a lie that the left was again right about, and MAGA going to have to hold one of these pretty soon. Going in and voting once every 4 years or once every 2 years, if you're really invested enough, isn't enough to constitute democracy, especially if unelected billionaires are able to take control of agencies. They're able to hire Nazi aides to take control of agencies and your information. If the president can just seize independent art and culture organizations and turn them into whatever he wants, if they're just going to circumvent the powers enumerated to Congress, because why not? Be held above the law, force agencies to bend to his will, force media and private companies to bend to his will, bring lawsuits to the dissenters. We're not a democracy. Right? We're in a dictatorship. We're in an oligarchy. We are in a country now more ran by the establishment and deep state goons than ever before in history.